obsessed over online games.
They're like nothing like more than drug pushers, and they're ruining people's lives.
How one company gets players hooked.
We got this off of Sony website. And look at this. It says, this is Sony material. Let Sony feed your online addiction.
One woman's fight to remove mercury from cars.
When you go up against something like the big three automakers, it's almost like Lear versus the Giants. Goliath.
Exactly.
And one viewer gets Ford tough.
I'm still fighting for 0% financing for 48 months.
Hi, I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Welcome to Marketplace. In this show, we investigate a place where more and more people seem to be spending too much time, seem unable to turn away. That place, the world of online computer games. Here's Wendy Mesley. Hey guys.
9 p.m. in Abbotsford, British Columbia. Tracy Montague is putting her 3 children to bed. She's alone, a single mom.
It's time, honey. Yeah.
No!
As in most homes, mom's orders are not always followed.
Go in your room.
But that all changes the moment Tracy turns on her computer. Here, everyone pays attention. Beleaguered single mom becomes Shanti's soul charmer of Valorguard, a dragon-slaying enchanter in the online world of EverQuest.
Shanti's is very diplomatic. She's a lot like my own personality because she's calm, she's not temperamental, she's gentle, she doesn't say any bad things.
Tracy says she doesn't play that much.
4 hours a day and at the very most 6 days a week.
That adds up to 24 hours a week. But the counter on her computer shows Shanti's has been played even more, an average of 30 hours a week. Maybe Tracy's in denial.
I'm going to say hello to the members of my guild.
But no one argues that every time Tracy plays, her character gets more powerful. Shanti's is a big wheel in the EverQuest world.
This one here, he's been playing for a very long time, close to the same as me.
Tracy has played so much and made Shanti's so powerful that other players have offered her $2,500 to take over her character. There are more than 400,000 EverQuest players in North America, and Tracy's 25 to 30 hours a week of playing appears common. So what is it about this game that makes people want to spend so much of their lives online?
It kind of takes your mind off of things, and it kind of allows you just to kind of escape in a way.
Escape into not just a game, but another world where players pay $15 a month to join an online community to chat, solve quests, and slay dragons. Even when the computer's off, the game goes on. It never ends. Hudson, Wisconsin, home for Liz Woolley, where she watched her 21-year-old son, Sean, disappear.
He wanted to play the game. As long as he could play the game, he was happy.
But increasingly, playing EverQuest was the only thing that made Sean happy. Liz had him diagnosed. Sure enough, he was suffering from depression. She blames the game.
He was really, getting withdrawn. He wouldn't listen to me. We were fighting. I became the bad person. I was trying to keep him away from his enjoyment, and if I just leave him alone, he'd be happy.
He looks happy there. Is that before EverQuest?
Yes.
Yes. A little grumpy in this one.
This was in July of 2001, and it was his brother's wedding, and he had to quit playing the game to come to the wedding. And I know that Sean actually left the wedding early, like in the middle of the ceremony. He went back to play the game. He didn't go to the reception or anything. That's how obsessed he was with it.
It was getting close to Thanksgiving, and Liz wanted to invite Sean over for a family supper, but he disconnected his phone and wouldn't answer his door.
He wouldn't let people come into his house anymore. He quit cleaning it. He didn't go grocery shopping. He'd just bring food home from work.
Liz called Sean at the pizza outlet where he worked, but his boss said he hadn't shown up in days. Finally, on Thanksgiving morning, Liz tried her son's apartment one last time.
I opened the door, and then there he was sitting in front of the computer with the rifle, and he'd shot himself. And I just looked at it, and it was EverQuest screen was on, and I just said, I just knew it was from the game, and I just said, oh, that damn game, he shot himself because of the game.
So these were the computers your son used?
This is the one he started playing, the EverQuest game.
At that point, it was just instinct. But when Liz went into Sean's computer, she discovered the last character he played was named I Love You. Sean had no love life on Earth that she knew about, but he did online. So she suspects he'd been betrayed in the only world that seemed to matter to him.
There's somebody out there who knows what happened,
Why do you think that?
because they were the person on the other side of the relationship.
It's been almost a year since Liz Woolley's son killed himself, and she still doesn't quite know why. She wants the maker of EverQuest, Sony Online, to help her figure out what Sean's character was doing in the game in the days just before his death. She says Sony Online owes her an answer. She holds the company accountable for designing a game that is so powerful, she says it's addictive.
They're ruining people's lives and they don't care. They're just doing it in the name of money.
Woolley says EverQuest is like a drug.
When it gets to the point where it's not fun anymore, if you have to play it because you're driven to play and it's no longer a choice, then it's an addiction.
Back in BC, Tracy read about what happened to Sean and chatted with other players about their game being blamed. They don't buy it.
He says, oh, here we go. Somebody's blaming EverQuest. It's too bad it happened to him. But I don't know how they can blame EverQuest when they don't know.
How do you feel since you stopped playing?
In Redmond, Washington, addictions counselor Jay Parker has met a lot of people he says are EverQuest addicts.
5-10 years down the road, it'll be common knowledge that there's a downside to the technology.
Parker says even the players know EverQuest is like a drug.
They have an expression that they use for their game amongst themselves. They call it EverCrack. That's their term they use for their word for their game, EverCrack.
Parker counsels his clients to be responsible for their own behavior, but says the game, its design, is partly to blame.
So you just don't push exit and you're gone. It's a game that never ends. EverQuest never ends. So it never says game over, you won. It just keeps going.
And there came a point where I was doing it so much.
Brian is one of Parker's EverQuest clients.
You lose everything, and you're inside that screen, and you're absolutely focused, and everything, you're oblivious to everything else.
After a year in therapy, Brian's off the game now and thinks other people need to be warned.
The fact is, it is addictive, and they do have to put labels on it. And I think that people at EverQuest do know there's a problem.
It looks like the maker of EverQuest, Sony Online, might know. Marketplace found the word addictive used as a selling point in several pieces of their marketing materials. And a study done in the U.S. found that 45% of EverQuest players believe they are addicted. Is it possible Tracy's addicted? Well, if a neurologist could study her brain while she plays, he might be able to tell. At the Montreal Neurological Institute, Dr. Alain Daguerre has studied the brains of video game players. Could an online game be like booze or like cocaine?
Well, I think it may have something in common with addictive drugs in that it may release dopamine in the same brain areas as addictive drugs.
Daguerre found that a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain when video game players perform goal-oriented tasks. And he suspects that in a game like EverQuest, a burst of dopamine could be released every time a quest is fulfilled, just like in the video game.
In color, you're seeing the areas where dopamine was released. Addictive drugs do the same thing. They also cause dopamine release in this same part of the brain.
Habit or addiction, either way, a lot of play is good for business. As long as players like Tracy keep playing, Sony makes more money, about $8 million a month. We talked to Harvey Nightingale, Executive Director of the Canadian Interactive Digital Software Association, a group Sony belongs to. Does the industry think that online games could be addictive?
I don't think there was ever any intention for any game to be addictive in any way, shape, or form. They're meant to be all entertainment products.
Because we got this off of Sony websites and some of the marketing material. Look at this. It says, this is Sony material.
Right.
Let Sony feed your online addiction. Another one here, online games for hours of addicting gameplay. Here's another one, maintaining highly addictive, immersive, and persistent gaming environments.
I'm sure Sony said that. That's what they say in their literature. I have no doubt it's part of their marketing tool.
But this would suggest that Sony knows that EverQuest is addictive.
It suggests they would. You should speak to Sony representatives.
We wanted to. The only person we could get to talk was you.
My answer to you will always be, take control. Whatever it is in your life, whatever you choose to watch on a TV, whatever you choose to listen to on radio, you take control.
What about Sony? Should it take a little bit more responsibility?
I think, as I said, I will try and confirm these details with Sony, and they may have to. If, in fact, it bears out what you're saying. They may have to.
Liz Woolley thinks players and their families should be warned about the power of these games, online, of course. So she set up a website called Online Gamers Anonymous, a support group for addicted players and their families. Does this help you mourn your son?
Yes,
How?
because I couldn't help him, but I can help others.
How much do you go online?
I go every day.
For how long?
Depends how many posts there are.
You're not getting addicted, are you?
No, because it only takes me about a minute.
We've kept trying to get an interview with Sony Online, but they say their executives are too busy to talk to us. We discovered they've been busy in China, cutting a deal to bring EverQuest to millions of potential new players. Lots of new players. And maybe some new addicts, too.
Busting